Hello, Steve White, Steve White 89. I was going to do two separate videos on these two Discovery rumours. I've just decided to put them into one, so please forgive the second introduction after this because I just couldn't be bothered editing. Discovery, there was an issue a couple of years ago when Anson Mount left Star Trek Discovery. He was only contracted to be on the show for a year, but the talk was that they were going to do a Pike series, and then the talk was that wasn't going to happen for several reasons. And one of the issues was that supposedly Anson Mount assaulted or did something, allegedly, to one of the directors on the series or one of the producers on the series. And they let this out when he was leaving the show, almost like he'd been fired and they were giving a reason when he wasn't fired because he was never supposed to stay on for more than the 1 year as Captain Pike in season 2. So that was interesting. When I met Anson Mount, I wanted to ask him about that, but I knew he was very diplomatic and very rehearsed. All his interviews, all his answers were always sort of the same and consistent. And I sort of thought, I'm not gonna get him with any gotcha questions or anything, so I'm not even gonna bother. So I didn't. I gotta say unless. But I thought it was interesting because later there was revealed that there were some very negative scenes with a couple of the producers who were fired, Gretchen Berg and someone, I can't remember their names now, but they were fired. Apparently they were very abusive to the writing staff, and could this have gone, past the writer's room and gone onto the set when they're actually working on the show? And could Anson Mount have reacted to it, being an original Star Trek fan and someone who's had success on other shows, who might have a little bit more backbone than some of the other actors who this is sort of their first big gig? So maybe he did stand up for himself and there was a confrontation. I thought that was interesting. And what has now happened is there is a rumour, or not so much a rumour, but one of the actors who was in one episode of Star Trek Discovery, and I've totally forgotten his name, I will put it in the title. He basically said, when I was on that show, it was toxic as F. Basically, the producers were threatening to everyone and people were just scared to be there. It was just a horrible set. The producer, the director were very disrespectful to me. He couldn't say enough positive things about Jonathan Frakes, who I think was directing, but the producers were the problems. He was a bit vague about exactly who it was and exactly who did what. He spent a bit more time praising Jonathan Frakes, I think, than he did actually assassinating anyone's character, specifically by name or anything. But he said basically they didn't like his performance, and they ended up ADRing his voice because they didn't like his performance, and they got someone else to do his voice, basically. So, and he just said it was just a really horrible environment, the way I was treated as an actor, and he got the sense that that was how the set was, and everyone was like that. Now, this apparently, some people did some research and worked out that this was at the time that Gretchen Berg and whoever were there. But then the talk was when Kurtzman came in to replace them, because everyone was like, oh, thank God Kurtzman's out of this, he's not involved. But apparently he got drawn in after, he got drawn in after they left, and then he was as bad as them. So people didn't really get any relief. So it was an interesting little rumour, and I sort of thought, it's not quite a rumour because this guy was there. He's saying this happened. He can say that happened because he worked there. But whether or not that was really a reflection of the show as a whole and those actors, producers, directors, everyone, for the whole season and the multiple seasons, or was it just one bad week? Was it all something that was just surrounding him because of something that he inspired? Maybe his behaviour made people react negatively, or maybe it was just something he walked into and he just was the first person to talk about it because other actors would have experienced the same thing and eventually will end up talking about it because that's what happens once the NDAs, whatever, end, or just, people realise they're not going to get work from those producers or that show anymore. They sort of start talking more freely. But we'll see how that goes. I found that really interesting, and I'm just going to stick that on to the other video about Doomcock, or maybe I'll stick it at the end. I don't know. Either one has an introduction. I'm just going to put them together, but feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe in case this is the second one. I don't know. But yeah, I found that interesting, and all this stuff will come out later, like Enterprise. People found out later there was a lot of bad things that happened on Enterprise, mostly between the network and the producers, not so much the actors and the producers and directors or anything. But it all came out later. People were saying it happened and people were saying it didn't happen, but it all came out later. Bye.